In the world of coins, few are as legendary, or as mysterious as the 1943 Lincoln cent. Lincoln 1 cent 1943 USA coin. The 1943 Lincoln 1 cent coin is one of the most famous and unusual issues in U.S. numismatic history. Struck during the height of World War II, this penny represents a dramatic shift in coinage composition due to wartime metal shortages. Most notably, the 1943 cent was minted in steel coated with zinc instead of the traditional bronze alloy, making it the only regular issue U.S. coin ever made of steel. Beyond its unique composition, the 1943 penny is surrounded by intrigue, including rare error coins struck in bronze and widespread public confusion over its appearance. This script explores the historical context, production details, varieties, and enduring legacy of the 1943 Lincoln cent. 1. Historical background: why the U.S. Mint changed the penny in 1943. The impact of World War II on U.S. coinage. By 1942, the United States was fully engaged in World War II, and the demand for copper and tin, key components of ammunition and military equipment, was immense. The traditional Lincoln cent, composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, suddenly became a strategic material. The U.S. Treasury's decision in late 1942, officials determined that the mint needed to conserve copper for the war effort. Alternative metals considered, the mint experimented with various metals, including glass, plastic, and even porcelain, before settling on steel coated with zinc to prevent rust. Congressional approval. The Coinage Act of 1864 was amended to allow the temporary change in composition. Public reaction to the new steel penny. When the 1943 steel cents entered circulation, they were met with mixed reactions. Confusion with dimes. Their silvery appearance led many to mistake them for dimes. Magnetic properties. Unlike previous pennies, these coins were attracted to magnets, which surprised the public. Corrosion issues. Some coins rusted or discolored due to poor zinc coating, leading to complaints. 2. Production and varieties of the 1943 steel cent. Mint facilities and output. The 1943 steel cents were struck at 3 U.S. mint facilities. 1. Philadelphia Mint. No mint mark, over 684 million produced. 2. Denver Mint. D mint mark, approximately 217 million struck. 3. San Francisco Mint. S mint mark, around 191 million minted. Key varieties and errors. While most 1943 pennies are steel, a few extremely rare and valuable errors exist. 1. The 1943 bronze Lincoln cent. How it happened: a small number of bronze planchets left over from 1942 were accidentally struck with 1943 dies. Rarity: only about 20 to 30 are confirmed to exist across all 3 mints. Value: a 1943 bronze cent sold for over $1 million in auctions. 2. The 1943 D bronze cent. One of the rarest, with only 1 or 2 known examples. A specimen graded PCG's MS64 Brown sold for $1.7 million in 2010. 3. Double die obverse DDO varieties. Some 1943 steel cents exhibit slight doubling in the lettering. These are less valuable than the bronze errors but still sought after. 4. Zinc coating imperfections. Some steel cents have incomplete or peeling zinc coatings, leading to partial rusting. 3. Collectability and market value, grading and condition. The value of a 1943 steel cent depends on mint mark: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Condition: uncirculated coins command higher prices. Presence of errors: bronze cents are ultra-valuable. Current market prices: 2024 estimates, or type: or circulated, or uncirculated, or error bronze, or 1943 p steel, or 20 cents to $1, or $3 to $20, or $100,000 or 1943 D steel, or 30 cents to $2, or $5 to $40, or $1 million plus, or 1943 S steel, or 50 cents to $3, or $10 to $60, or $500,000 plus, or how to identify a genuine 1943 bronze cent. Magnet test. A real bronze cent will not stick to a magnet. Weight check. Bronze cents weigh approximately 3.11 grams, steel cents weigh approximately 2.7 grams. Professional authentication. Always get rare coins certified by PCGs or NGC. 4. Myths and misconceptions about the 1943 penny. 1. All 1943 pennies are valuable. Reality: only the bronze eras are extremely valuable. Most steel cents are common. 2. Silver 1943 pennies exist. Reality: they are steel with zinc coating, not silver. 3. A 1944 steel cent is the opposite rarity. Fact: a few 1944 cents were mistakenly struck on steel planchets, making them rare. Cultural impact: the 1943 steel cent remains a popular collectible due to its unique history. It has been featured in TV shows, books and coin-related documentaries. In 2023, the U.S. Mint released a special 80th anniversary 1943. In 2023, the U.S. Mint released a special 80th anniversary 1943 steel penny tribute in gold and silver, as part of collector sets. The 1943 Lincoln steel cent is a fascinating piece of American history, born out of necessity during wartime. While most are affordable for collectors, the rare bronze eras rank among the most valuable coins in existence. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a casual history enthusiast, the 1943 penny offers a tangible connection to a pivotal moment in U.S. history. The United States was thrust into World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Overnight, America became a nation on a war footing. Factories converted from making cars to making tanks and airplanes. Women filled jobs left by men gone to the front. Rationing of food, gasoline, rubber and metals began across the country. Every resource was precious. Every material was evaluated for its contribution to the war effort. Copper was no exception. Copper was critically important to the manufacture of ammunition, electrical wiring, and countless other wartime necessities. Officials at the United States Mint faced a difficult decision. Should they continue producing billions of copper pennies, while the nation desperately needed that same copper for war? The answer was clear. Change had to come. Chapter 2: Searching for a Substitute. But what could replace copper in the production of America's smallest denomination? Throughout 1942, the Mint experimented with alternative materials. Tests were conducted using plastics, glass, rubber, and even fibers like bakelite, an early plastic material. Samples of experimental coins were created, tested for durability, weight, and appearance. However, most of these materials proved impractical. Plastic coins, for example, were too light and could melt under high temperatures. Glass coins were fragile. Rubber coins degraded quickly. Eventually the search settled on a much sturdier and more abundant option: steel. Specifically a low-grade steel coated with a thin layer of zinc to prevent rusting. Steel was durable, readily available, and, most importantly, would preserve precious copper supplies for the war effort. On December 18, 1942, Congress authorized the production of steel pennies for the duration of the emergency. The following year, the 1943 Lincoln cent was born. Chapter 3: A coin unlike any other. When the 1943 Lincoln cent entered circulation, Americans immediately noticed the difference. The new coins had a bright silvery appearance, more like a dime than a penny. In fact, the visual resemblance to a dime caused confusion at first. Some people mistook the new cents for 10-cent pieces. Others suspected they were counterfeit. The coin retained the familiar design created by sculptor Victor David Brenner in 1909. The obverse, or front, featured the stately profile of Abraham Lincoln, the first real person ever depicted on an American coin. The reverse bore the simple yet powerful wheat ears, symbolizing prosperity. But now, Lincoln's dignified portrait gleamed in cold metallic silver, rather than warm copper red. It was the same design, but an entirely different experience. At just 2.7 grams, the steel cent was lighter than the previous copper cents. It had a distinctive feel and sound when dropped. A higher tinny ring compared to the dull clink of copper. The public reaction was mixed. Some found the new pennies novel and exciting, while others disliked the change. Nevertheless, the patriotic spirit of the time led most Americans to accept the substitution willingly. Chapter 4: Challenges and Complications. While the 1943 steel cents fulfilled their purpose, they were far from perfect. The thin zinc coating was prone to wear, exposing the underlying steel. Once exposed, the steel cores would quickly rust, especially in humid environments. This led to unsightly corroded coins that often turned brown or orange, confusing people even further. Bankers and merchants sometimes refused them, mistaking corroded steel cents for counterfeit or foreign coins. Moreover, vending machines, coin-operated telephones and other devices calibrated for the weight and electromagnetic signature of copper coins often rejected the new steel pennies. In some cases, the magnets used in sorting machines would even pull the steel coins out, since steel, unlike copper, is magnetic. Despite these issues, the production of steel cents continued throughout 1943. At the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, over 1 billion steel cents were struck. It was one of the largest single-year mintages for any U.S. coin. Chapter 5: Rare Errors, and the Myth of the 1943 Copper Penny. One of the most fascinating legacies of the 1943 cent is the story of a mistake. A rare and valuable error that continues to captivate collectors. During the transition to steel planchets, the blank discs from which coins are struck, a small number of leftover copper planchets from 1942 accidentally made it into the presses. The result, the 1943 copper cent, a genuine Lincoln penny dated 1943, but struck on copper rather than steel. Only a handful of these rare coins were produced, perhaps a few dozen at most. Today, they are among the most prized rarities in American numismatics. In 2010, a pristine 1943 copper penny sold at auction for $1.7 million. Stories of these coins have entered popular culture, fueling dreams of lucky finds in piggy banks and old jars across the country. Similarly, in 1944, when the mint returned to using copper for pennies, a few steel blanks left over from 1943 were mistakenly struck with 1944 dates. These 1944 steel cents are likewise highly valuable. Chapter 6: A Symbol of Sacrifice. In many ways, the 1943 steel cent represents more than a simple change in materials. It embodies the spirit of a nation willing to adapt, to sacrifice, to innovate in the face of global crisis. By saving thousands of tons of copper, some estimates say as much as 13,000 tons, the United States was able to channel critical resources into the war effort. The penny, often seen as the least significant of coins, became a small but powerful symbol of national unity and resourcefulness. Today, surviving 1943 steel cents are a testament to that time, a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry the weight of history. Chapter 7: Legacy and Collectability. After 1943, the mint returned to copper-based pennies, but with a slight twist. From 1944 to 1946, pennies were made using salvaged brass shell casings collected from military training grounds, another link to the war effort. The 1943 steel cents remained in circulation for decades. Because they were minted in such enormous numbers, many were saved by the public, often passed down through generations. Today, steel cents are a popular and affordable entry point for new collectors. Although individual coins are common and inexpensive, pristine uncirculated examples, especially those with full original zinc luster, can command higher prices. Special varieties, such as the 1943D with a doubled mint mark, or coins in exceptionally high grades, are particularly sought after. But the true value of the 1943 cent is not just monetary. It lies in its ability to tell a story of ingenuity, determination, and collective sacrifice. Chapter 8 Conclusion: More than just a penny. The 1943 Lincoln steel cent may be small in size, but its story looms large in the history of American coinage. It reminds us that even the most familiar objects can reflect extraordinary times. It teaches us that necessity can drive innovation, that a nation's spirit can be captured in the most unexpected of places, even in the palm of your hand. So the next time you come across a worn silvery penny from 1943, or perhaps hear a child shake a tin can of old coins, dreaming of treasures, remember the story behind that little piece of steel. It is truly a coin worth far more than 1 cent. In 1943, the United States was fully engaged in World War II. The demand for critical war materials like copper skyrocketed. Copper was vital, needed for ammunition, wiring, communications, and much more. This put an unusual strain on the U.S. Mint. Every resource had to be prioritized for the war effort, and so the Treasury Department made a drastic decision. For the first time in American history, pennies would not be made primarily of copper. Instead, in 1943, pennies were made from low-grade carbon steel coated with zinc to prevent rust. Thus the steel penny was born, light gray in color, magnetic, and unlike any penny Americans had seen before. Chapter 2: How the 1943 steel penny was made, 5 to 8 minutes. The mint's plan seemed simple: use steel, coat it with zinc, and produce billions of pennies. 3 major facilities struck these coins: Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark; Denver Mint, D mint mark; San Francisco Mint, S mint mark. Over 1 billion steel cents were produced in 1943, the highest mintage for any U.S. coin in a single year up to that point. It was a massive operation, but with massive operations come mistakes. Chapter 3: The 1943 Copper Penny, the King of Errors. And here begins our journey into errors. Despite the switch to steel, a few bronze, copper-based planchets left over from 1942 accidentally found their way into the presses, and were struck as 1943 coins. These rare 1943 copper pennies are legendary. How rare are they? Experts estimate fewer than 20 genuine specimens exist across all 3 mints. Some famous examples include a Philadelphia 1943 copper penny auctioned for over $1 million. A Denver 1943D copper penny, believed to be unique, sold for $1.7 million. San Francisco 1943's copper pennies also exist but are equally rare. These coins aren't just collectibles, they're historical artifacts, mistakes frozen in time during America's greatest conflict. Storytelling tip: pause. Let the audience imagine holding one. Imagine a penny that could buy $1 million home. If you're lucky enough to find one. Chapter 4: How the 1943 Copper Era Happened. So how could this have happened? It's surprisingly simple. At the end of 1942, some bronze planchets remained stuck in the corners of minting machines. When 1943 production began with steel blanks, these hidden bronze planchets were dislodged and struck into coins. These copper 1943 errors weren't intentional, just accidents in a busy wartime mint environment. Chapter 5: The 1943 DD and Other Steel Penny Errors. But the 1943 pennies didn't just have copper planchet errors. Oh no, the story is deeper. Here are some other famous error types among 1943 steel pennies. 1. Double die errors. Some 1943 pennies, especially from the Philadelphia Mint, show strong doubling on the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust. Doubled die errors occur when a coin die strikes a planchet twice with a slight shift, creating a shadowed doubled appearance. 2. 1943 D over D mint mark error. In Denver, some steel pennies show a D mint mark struck over another faint D. These are known as RPMs, repunched mint marks, and can be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on condition. 3. Clipped planchet errors. Sometimes a blank steel planchet was improperly cut, creating a coin that looks like it has a bite taken out of it. 4. Off-center strikes. When a coin is struck incorrectly aligned, it appears partially blank or missing design elements. 5. Wrong planchet errors. Besides copper, some steel cents have been found mistakenly struck on foreign coin blanks, like Belgian 2 franc planchets. Each of these errors has its own market and fan base. Chapter 6, How to Spot a Genuine 1943 Copper Penny. If you're hunting for the elusive 1943 copper penny, you need to be careful. There are lots of counterfeits. Here's what to check. Color: copper pennies are reddish-brown, while steel ones are silver-gray. Magnet test: steel cents stick to magnets. Real copper 1943 pennies won't. Weight: copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, steel cents weigh 2.7 grams. Date manipulation: some scammers modify 1948 pennies, changing the 8 feet into a 3. Always inspect the font shapes carefully. In fakes, the 3 feet usually looks wrong. If you think you have one, get it authenticated by PCGs or NGC, the leading coin grading companies. Chapter 7, Famous Sales and Record. Over the years, 1943 copper pennies have shattered records. In 2010, a 1943's copper penny sold for $1.7 million at auction. A 1943D copper penny sold for $1.75 million privately. Even low-grade genuine examples can bring $100,000 or more. For many collectors, the dream is simple: to find one in an old coin jar, tucked away in grandma's attic. Chapter 8, Why the 1943 penny still captures hearts. Why do we still talk about these coins 80 years later? Because they represent a critical moment in American history. Human error under pressure, the hope of treasure in everyday life. The 1943 Lincoln penny isn't just about money. It's about storytelling, about a tangible link to the past. So next time you dig through a box of old coins, or walk past a dusty flea market table, take a second look. That dull brown penny might just be the discovery of a lifetime. Because in a world full of digital treasures, there's still magic hiding in a simple piece of metal from 1943.